Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
Mosquitoes are out and the annual battle is underway. And right now, crews in Grand Forks, East Grand Forks, Fargo, Moorhead, and West Fargo are out spraying after seeing high numbers. Valley News Team's Alexandra Kay joins us live from a neighborhood that's just been sprayed. She joins us. Alexandra?
Mike, that's right. I want you to take a look here. You can see Cass County Vector is just coming through and spraying this street here. Now, I'm in a South Moorhead neighborhood. This is right off of 8th Street South. This neighborhood is right by the Red River, making it a hot spot for those pesky mosquitoes. Now, this neighborhood is one of the first, but certainly not the last to be sprayed tonight. That fog that is being sprayed will dissipate in a few minutes, taking down those pesky mosquitoes with it. And for those that have been out and about, this day couldn't have come soon enough.
It's nice out, so people want to get out. For Mohammed Qadi, that means outdoor volleyball. But the mosquitoes, he says, are there to greet him.
The longest we can play till, I would say, is around 9:30, just because the bugs get a little too crazy while we're out there. Because volleyball, sometimes, some people aren't involved. They're just standing there, and the bugs just kind of harass them, I guess. So.
Personally, I hate mosquitoes, so once I start seeing mosquitoes, I just run away.
Although we've come from a rather dry start to the summer, experts say they've seen numbers that have exceeded their expectations.
The metropolitan average was about 130 mosquitoes per trap per night. So that's well beyond our threshold for what we consider nuisance.
This is the number of mosquitoes that were caught in traps on Tuesday. The more the red, the worse. This is from Thursday. Overnight, the map exploded with red.
So to have a count pop into the hundreds just in the last 24 hours is we're kind of scratching our heads.
Prather said he is unsure where the mosquitoes are coming from when there isn't much water. Prather also created the I Was Bit map. Here you log where you were bit.
With all the other tools and the trapping and different, population mappings that we're trying to do for mosquitoes, this adds a nice kind of interesting layer and kind of maybe we'll get some community citizen involvement.
Prather added that there are plans to have an aerial spray done before the 4th of July. In Fargo, Alexandra Kay, Valley News Live.
Spraying is expected to wrap up tonight about midnight. Meanwhile, as mentioned in that story, to try and get some community involvement in tracking the annoying critters, Prather created that I've Been Bit map where you can log where you've been bit. Now, the map doesn't ask for any personal details, but it is a tool to see where the skeeters are most active. It's been a year since a woman died in a hit-and-run crash in Pembina County, and the family of Cammie Leland tells us they wanted the driver to be charged. Instead, deputies charged her boyfriend, Matthew Hilton, with manslaughter. Hilton reportedly stood out in the road near his home with a rifle to scare away people who were driving erratically. The driver panicked, swerved, and hit Leland. We learned authorities found 3 beers in the trunk of the car that night, but neither the driver or passenger were tested at the scene for alcohol or drugs.
Somebody just hit my girlfriend.
I know.
Why are you arresting me?
Because of being out there with the firearm is why.
I was protecting my property.
Hilton ended up dying by suicide a few months after his arrests. We reached out to the Pembina County Sheriff's Office for this story. We have not received a response. U.S. Senate Democrats blocked a Republican-drafted police reform bill from moving forward. A vote to open debate on the bill, which needed 60 votes, fell 5 votes short in a 55-15 vote. Democrats said the bill fell far short of needed reforms, including on the issues of chokeholds and no-knock warrants. Republicans, including lead bill writer Tim Scott, claimed the bill instituted meaningful reforms and increased police accountability. U.S. Senator Kevin Cramer of North Dakota issued a statement in response to the vote, saying in part, Democrats have made a political calculation that they will benefit more from chaos than solutions. Senator John Hoeven also released a statement saying in part, the Senate should debate the Justice Act. This legislation provides law enforcement with better training and transparency so they are able to do their job with good accountability to the communities they are entrusted to serve and protect. Now, Senators Cramer and Hoeven were both original co-sponsors of Tim Scott's bill. Meanwhile, U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer says the bill is not salvageable and demands bipartisan negotiation ahead of a vote. A 21-year-old Fargo man has been arrested on 3 counts of attempted murder after a reported shooting in Dilworth Sunday night. Authorities say Lavelle Antonio Ivy and a man were passengers in a car and fighting about gas money. When the driver pulled over and told Ivy to get out, Ivy is accused of firing a gun at the vehicle several times. The driver was able to drive away and ended up at Casey's gas station in Dilworth, where police were called. Ivy later admitted to deputies that he may have fired his gun at the car and that he took the gun apart and threw pieces in various places along the highway. Federal charges have been filed against a Grand Forks man after he allegedly made violent threats to a phone company. A federal grand jury indicted Stephen Ralph Lindblad on charges of interstate communication of a threat to injure persons and false information and hoax. Authorities are accusing Lindblad of calling a phone company last August and stating he had explosive materials and was going to commit a mass shooting. Health officials in North Dakota say that they have now worked through a testing delay for COVID-19. The state, meanwhile, is reporting 42 new cases today, bringing the active case count to 214. 18 of those cases are in Cass County, 12 in Burleigh County. 27 people are in the hospital with the virus currently. The death toll remains at 78. Minnesota is reporting 5 more deaths linked to the virus. This brings the death toll in Minnesota to 1,397. 1,102 of those deaths happened in a long-term care facility. 304 new cases are reported, bringing the active case count to 2,659. 29,707 people have recovered from the virus. Residents in Grand Forks will have their chance to get tested for COVID-19 next week. It's slated for Tuesday, June 30th from 9 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon at the Alaris Center. Testing will be open to the general public. Tomorrow and Friday in Fargo, there'll be another round of testing at the Fargo Dome parking lot. At both locations, it's encouraged that you complete the online screening questionnaire prior to the event at testreg.nd.gov. There's no cost and health insurance is not processed. Efforts will be made to let people know of the results in 72 hours. Governors across America have eased restrictions and have started allowing businesses to reopen. Some states are now experiencing spikes in COVID-19 numbers not seen since the beginning of the pandemic. Emmeline Ivy explains that experts say this isn't the second wave of the coronavirus.
As more people return to their pre-pandemic activities, the number of people getting sick with coronavirus is rising again in certain states. Doctors say the spikes aren't the second wave of the virus, but that doesn't mean a second wave isn't on its way. As people start to become comfortable venturing outside their homes.
Of course, I want to get out of the house selfishly, and I'm just really happy that people have been able to do that.
Some states are experiencing new highs in COVID-19 cases.
We're talking about folks who are now becoming symptomatic and testing PCR positive because they've had exposure and infection in the preceding 1 to 2 weeks.
However, experts say this is not the second wave.
When you look at textbook definitions, it means that the first wave has come and gone.
Mateo says a second wave requires a peak in cases followed by a massive decrease, followed again by another increase.
We're still in the middle of the first wave. We haven't trended down at all as a nation.
While state COVID numbers have seen a slowdown, Mateo is cautious and says a second wave could happen eventually.
If they figured out that businesses are going to take into account a second wave and for that reason shut down again, if people realize that their job and their health insurance hinges on how this epidemic behaves, they might pay closer attention to doing the right things.
Mateo says another telltale sign of a second wave is a mutation in the virus.
It can be transmitted better, it can be affect more organ systems.
Some research suggests the virus has mutated. However, scientists say more tests are needed to confirm their findings. Mateo says a mutation is most likely when many people develop immunity, whether through infection or vaccine.
The doctor also says a second wave of COVID-19 means hospitals would again need to prepare for the potential of an overwhelmed healthcare system.